I believe if you are seeking to lead humans, you must understand how we think, how we operate. Being a healthy leader requires us to learn ourselves, understand ourselves. We need to get curious about what is our role, what's our impact. Know your ripple effect. Okay. Know the effect you're having on the people around you. You may have to change everything from how you compensate people to how you hire people to the rhythm of your business. We need to build for the eventuality of obsolescence, but not the obsolescence of humans. AI will never replace the energetic signature that we create in other people. Burnout is a medical condition. Wow. Recognized by the World Health Organization. The language has a specific term for death by burnout.
What if the toughest part of scaling company isn't the strategy, it's the self-work? Today we're diving into the real cost of going public, going back private, what it means to keep people at the center of AI, and how leaders can drive growth without burning out. Our guest, Valerie Jackson, has done it all. From Harvard undergrad to Georgetown Law to C-suite to HR, she's done it all, helping companies evolve from scrappy startups to global players while never losing sight of what makes leadership human. Valerie, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to have a very unconventional conversation with a very unconventional person.
Here.
Yes.
I try not to be conventional, but hey, conventional is good too.
Right?
Thank you for having me on, Avetis. It's so good to be here.
Thank you so much, Valerie. You know, you and I had such a great conversation at the conference, and then we met a week ago, and we had so many different things we talked about. It was really interesting, and we're gonna try to pack it into this powerhouse 1 hour podcast. Wish us luck. So let's talk about that. You began your career advising public companies before pivoting into HR and people leadership. What sparked that shift? How did you do that? Why did you do that?
Well, after law school, I started practicing in law firms, and my practice was securities and corporate governance, securities litigation defense, as well as transactional securities work, M&A, offerings, corporate reorgs, that sort of thing. And I shifted from private practice in law firms to working at the United States Company Accounting Oversight Board, wow, which is the U.S. auditing and accounting regulator. So I have a background not just in law, but also in international affairs. I trained to be a diplomat since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. And so that's what I did at the PCAOB, International Affairs. And it was when the PCAOB had been sued on the basis of constitutionality. We were at the Supreme Court fighting for our existence, and I needed to figure out what the heck was next. And so an old friend, one of the most intelligent humans I know, Stacey Abrams, called me up out of the blue one day and said, "Hey, Valerie, we want to talk to you at our firm about doing diversity work, building a diversity department." And this is back in like 2007. I said, "Well, what is that?" She's like, "We're not quite sure, but we believe you can figure it out." And if you don't know Stacey, if she tells me to jump, I'm really going to investigate, okay, how do I get those fast twitch muscles to work, right? Because I believe everything that she invests in and believes in, and she believed in me. So I took a chance and leapt into law firm HR. And I practiced in a sense, in-house, helping the general counsel of the firm, and also built the first standalone diversity department. And that was my foray into HR. And I've been in HR ever since, whether it's diversity or employee experience or leading the entire org, which in my last company included things like internal communications, facilities, real estate, a whole number of things. It has been an amazing journey. But it started because I had to question what's in here to know where next to go. And I learned along the way that I also have to work on what's in here to be able to lead people when we're trying to go somewhere.
Interesting. That's where all the conversation went about humans, which we talked about, the conference and all that. How did that move change your understanding of what real leadership looks like? Because you've kind of been through it all.
I have. In addition to those clients whom I advised when I was practicing, I have worked in privately held partnerships in the law, private VC-backed, rocket ship tech companies. publicly traded SaaS, privately held PE owned SaaS, and SaaS meaning software as a service. And so I have worked with a number of leaders, worked within a number of organizational structures, and I love to see patterns and trends.
Okay.
I'm a big picture thinker. I will take in the entire constellation. I will not fixate on a single star. And throughout the decades, I've seen a few patterns. I've seen a few what I believe to be truths. And if you are in a workplace working with humans and you seek to lead them, or even if you're not in a workplace, you're a team, you're at a school, you're an elected official. I believe if you are seeking to lead humans, you must understand how we think, how we operate, and leverage it. And not everyone does that well. Some people do it fantastically.
Clearly. Typically HR is kind of a linear thought process. Usually folks that are in that, it's more of a administrative, operational, linear role in my head. How does someone like you, who's clearly in your own way a visionary, how are you in this type of role, and how has that helped you, and how has that challenged you over the years, where you kind of are hitting walls because people aren't understanding what you're trying to achieve, and it doesn't make sense in their box of HR, if that makes sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. First of all, thank you for the compliment.
Yes.
And I feel very seen right now, so I'm bursting. Yes, it can be challenging. I think in a spiral, that itself can be challenging when I'm communicating with linear thinkers. I married one. And I work with many of them. I learn from many of them, but yes, it can be challenging. What has served me is remembering that I have a why, which is to help people. And in order to help people, I need to understand people. Now, I'm going to set aside that in our workplaces, we may already be working with AI agents, not just human employees. But for this conversation, I'm going to focus on humans. I have to understand humans in order to help humans. That's what I believe. And it has been helpful for me to leverage, believe it or not, my international affairs background. So because I trained to be a diplomat, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to bring people and groups together. And so when I'm in an organization, I seek to be the thread that weaves everyone together. Why? Because I also, as a systems thinker, believe that by weaving people together, I can help see what works for them and help build the systems that sustain our collective success. Does that answer your question?
It does. It really does. And by the way, we need linear thinkers, right? It's never
100%.
intended to be like almost a knock on them.
No.
Without linear thinkers, no one executes. It's just a bunch of crazy, amazing ideas or sometimes a very fast execution that doesn't always go anywhere. But it's just interesting. Most people
I agree with you. And I trained with Gallup in strengths-based coaching. And one concept we learned about was the powerful partnership. So if I am great at nonlinear thinking, big picture, big sky, yep. I'm a futurist. I'm thinking, 10, 20 years in the future. That's where I live. The most powerful partnerships for me are going to be working with people who live in the now, think in the now, can think 1A, 1B, 1C, and not from 1 to 9 to 12 to 3X. You know what I mean? Yeah. And together, we can build something that is inspiring and sustainable. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about human optimization. That's one thing you brought up that I thought was very, very, very interesting. Scaling people, not just systems. Companies optimize products, right? It's a concept. They optimize operations, they optimize revenue, they lower costs, but rarely do we as leaders optimize ourselves, right? Think about that. We're always trying to change others, make others better, or try to improve products and tools. What does human optimization really mean, and how do we go about doing it, especially in leadership?
So I believe in continuous improvement. I believe that there is always a better, no matter how great the outputs or the inputs already are, I believe there's always better. And I believe that we are worth the investment. I also believe that everyone creates a ripple. Everyone has an impact, whether you are a titled leader or you're simply a leader in your heart. Everyone has an impact. And when we are not self-aware, as individuals operating in teams, in ecosystems, we are unaware of the impact we have. And sometimes that impact can be more negative than positive.
Sure.
So I truly believe that being a healthy leader of a family, a team, a company, an organization, a country requires us to learn ourselves, understand ourselves, and understand the impacts we're making. Working on ourselves, for some people, might feel selfish. But if you as a leader don't know your strengths and your opportunities for growth, don't know how to create a powerful partnership, don't know what it means to be authentic in every space, don't know what courage looks like for you, how will you model it for those around you? And I do believe we are all connected, whether we're cognizant of it or not. When we work on ourselves and we show up healthier, better, we demonstrate better examples. What we say and what we do are in better alignment, which is incredibly important for building trust. We are more consistent. I mean, the list goes on and on. And when we're not aware, well, we will have impacts. They may not always be intentional, they may not always be positive, and they may not always be productive and yield the outcomes we want.
You know, they in business, there's a great saying I read somewhere many years ago, I think, is if you have values in your business, you have a brand, you have a culture, but either you create your culture as a leader or it's going to create itself, and you might not like what's created on your behalf. This almost resonates with me on what you're talking about, because we have an impact, whether it's positive or negative. And if we're not thoughtful in our approach and we don't optimize ourselves, I feel like whatever raw good and bad we are is 10x throughout our organizations, or 100x, and more importantly, our families, right? So looking deeper inside and optimizing yourself. If you become this incredible leader for your business and your friendships and your home, I think then hopefully people will follow. But you have to be great for people to follow, and sometimes we don't know that, right? Because we can blame others, and a lot of times there's good reason why we're blaming others, but it doesn't change anything. But if we better ourselves, usually people will follow. I feel like if you're someone that they want to follow.
Yes, and
worthy
there are
of
two
followers.
things. Yes. Oh, you know me. That is, for those listening and watching, my definition of a leader is someone whom people deem worth following. It's not something that we can name ourselves, and therefore it is true. I believe we earn it. And I think that, you said something, we can only be great if. And I want to put an asterisk by great. I want to vote for the definition of great to include happy, healthy, healed, and whole. Because if we are individuals, you're a CEO, okay? So I say this with love. Not every CEO is a leader.
Oh yeah, it's true.
Right? Not every leader is a CEO. If you choose to be both, as a CEO, Avetis, if you choose to be both a CEO and a leader, it requires intention, no? A good leader,
Yeah,
right? It requires intention. And it requires, I believe it requires, among other things, consistency and remembering that culture itself, right? Outside of the structure of the teams that we build, culture itself, and this is research from, one of the researchers, her last name was Barsad, and there was another one, and I cannot remember her name, but there was this fantastic research that came out several years ago around culture. It actually has two components. There's cognitive culture and there's emotional culture. Cognitive culture is the words we use. What are the words we use to describe ourselves? What are the values that we say, put on the wall, etc.? Emotional culture is how we behave. Okay? And when what we say and what we do align, that is powerful. It is reliable. People can trust it. They will be less in fight or flight mode, more in ready mode to produce, to innovate, right? When what we say and what we do don't align, what happens?
Incongruency, right? It's just a lot of hypocrisy. I feel like people lose trust. There's just a missing element, you know.
Of course.
The key is congruency. People have to believe what you're saying, you're doing, and vice versa. You gotta do it first.
If we're leading someone to somewhere they've never been, if we're convincing someone, whether it's a customer or an employee or a friend or a spouse, right? This can happen. This will happen. This is happening. But they haven't seen it or felt it, right? They got to believe us. Mm-hmm. Either they'll believe the thing or they'll believe us. And that's currency. That is trust. And it is built over time. It's lost in an instant, but it's built over time. And as someone who's built a company, I know you know this.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things, this is more of a spiritual thing, but it's like people believe in God, their own God, whatever it is for them. And the way they look at it is, do you believe or do you follow? Believing is not enough. You have to follow. So in this case, again, you as a leader, not to compare you to a spiritual leader, is like you have to be worthy of following. It's one thing for them to believe that you're the leader, that you know what you're doing, but for them to follow, I think is a bigger thing. But that might be on the person themselves. Question for you. How can leaders recognize when they're the ones that need the growth or recalibration?
Great question.
I don't know if you saw my podcast, but I did a solo where I talked about that everything's our fault. That no matter what happens, it's our fault. Even if the thing that broke down had nothing to do with you, it was that employee and it was their fault. Well, who hired that employee? It was you. Who didn't let that employee go? You. Who didn't give the proper training? You. Who didn't give the vision? You. Whatever it is, it's usually you as a leader. But when can we recognize that it's actually us that needs the growth and recalibration?
I think it needs to start with curiosity and humility.
Okay.
And a growth mindset. And I think curiosity aligns well with that. We need to get curious about what is our role, what's our impact. We need to be humble enough to acknowledge that we may not know the extent of our impact, and we may not like what we learn. If you've ever done a 360, have you ever done a 360 review where your peers, the next level up, next level down, right, review you, give feedback, anonymized feedback? That is a humbling experience to read in many instances. It's humbling on the one hand because people care enough to give their time to help you be better. And also humbling because, oh my word, that's my impact over there. That's what happened, right? As well as some great stuff too. And so we need to be, say what?
I've never done anonymized now that I think about it. I've done it where it's literally your direct report is reviewing you in different categories. They are presenting it to you in a 360 quarterly. But I've never done it where they can say whatever they want and you won't know who they are. But go on.
Well, you know why I made that switch? I used to do direct feedback, upward reviews with my direct reports. Sure. And then I had one brave woman say to me, it's scary to tell my boss what they're doing wrong or what I don't like or what I think they should improve. And so I created the idea of a wish list. And so I asked folks to say, what would be your ideal feedback mechanism, team environment, manager relationship, etc. Right? Taking some of the first person stigma out of it, and then it evolved from there. And when you hire a vendor who does 360, sometimes they will have their own approach, anonymized, not anonymized. But I like both, and I think it's situational. But I think that humility is underrated. It's powerful and it's underrated, because if we're humble enough to accept I am not perfect, I'm not all things, I can't do this, I don't know, I can't remember three words that are scarier for so many leaders than I don't know. I almost feel like people worry that if they say I don't know something, that everyone will flee and everyone will like
Sure.
vote them off the island.
Sure.
When in actuality, we're acknowledging that we don't have all the answers. However, we likely have the answers in the room, right? Or on the
Yeah.
team or in the environment. So, curiosity, humility, and a growth mindset, meaning we can improve. Someone's challenging experience does not mean that we will de facto lose something or lose that relationship. If we have a growth mindset, we choose to believe that the inputs can make us better. And by making ourselves better, we make our team better. In the instance you gave, I totally agree with you. When something goes wrong, when something doesn't happen or doesn't happen the way we want, if it's in my team, I it's my responsibility. I own it. I own the screw ups. Why? Because like you said, I probably didn't give enough clarity or enough time or permission to deprioritize the right things or pick something, right? Unless someone committed a crime, chances are I played a part in that, right? So I gotta own that. Whereas victory is shared. Always.
Yes. Yes.
Always. And I think there is an inverse correlation between a leader's altitude and their humility.
Hmm.
In many cases, I find that as people move up in the typical system, higher and higher and higher, closer to the sun, the less humility they have because they believe they have learned more, done more, right?
Yeah.
My dad used to quote this to me, and it has helped me to stay humble. And I'm going to butcher it, but paraphrasing, he used to say, "He who knows not and knows that he knows not is wise. Follow him.
Indeed.
But he who knows not and knows not that he knows not is a fool. Shun him."
Wow, that's really powerful. That's really good.
It wasn't his. He got it from somewhere.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but it
that's
basically,
good.
if we're wise enough to know that we don't know,
Yeah.
that means you're wise, and you're likely going to go figure it out.
Absolutely. The biggest challenge my kids had as their homework got tougher and tougher, and they would lean on their mom or their dad, and we would just like be like, "I don't know this one, honey," and my daughter would be like, "What do you mean you don't know this? Like, I came to you." I'm like, "Well, we're gonna figure this out together," and she would almost get frustrated because I'm trying to figure out this crazy calculus or whatever the hell she's doing, and I'm like, "You realize it's been 30 years, right, since I've touched this stuff, and you are at a level that I don't even deal with." And now they're not surprised when I'm like, "I don't know. Let's sit down and unpack this." And they know I won't pretend or I won't give them the answers. So now sometimes they don't even bother, which is growth in itself. But you talked a lot about us not knowing what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. And that's what we've got to constantly surround ourselves by people that are better and stronger than us. You know, that saying that's become cliche is never be the smartest person in a room. It's phenomenal, right? Because it's like I'm constantly finding myself in rooms that are not at all the smartest person. I freaking love it. I get inspired, I learn, and I provide plenty. You know, I try to provide value as well, but man, am I capturing value. Just sitting in there and being like, "Oh, I had no idea. I didn't even know I didn't know what you just said," you know, and it's very, very powerful. Very powerful.
Totally.
What habits or mindsets do you think separate leaders besides the humility? You talked about this, and who sustain success from those who burn out. Because one thing leadership can lead to is a little bit of loneliness, right? It's again, you're taking all the blame constantly. You're either completely deflecting the success or you're crediting much of the success, whether it's true or not, to your team, because that's what a great leader does. And sometimes that can get a little tiresome, right? Sometimes you're the what do you call it? The kind of the everything to a decision. Everything might go through you. and that alone is its own challenge, right? We can't allow that. But like, what are the habits or mindsets that separate those leaders who don't end up burning out?
Right. Well, I've already burned out, so
That's why I'm asking
I
you.
will share. I
That's
will
why
share what
I
I
will
learned.
only ask people who've been there.
So I appreciate the question because I don't think people take burnout seriously. Burnout is a medical condition
Wow.
recognized by the World Health Organization. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Burnout is a medical condition. It is so prevalent around the world that there are countries in which the language has a specific term for death by burnout. Okay?
Wow.
It's something we need to take seriously. And there are three components of burnout: exhaustion, which I think we know well. I would say physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. Inefficacy, which is where I feel like I'm just not as good at this anymore. And then cynicism. I just don't care about this as much anymore.
Wow.
Okay? So exhaustion, I can't give to this as much anymore. Inefficacy, I'm not as good at this anymore, even though they're the same person, same skill set, right? Yeah. And then cynicism, I don't care as much anymore. And I think that what helps leaders sustain success, however they define success, is a combination of a number of things. First of all, understanding what their values and priorities are and making decisions and taking actions in alignment with those things.
Wow.
Number one. Number two, understanding that you are a human. You are not an android. You might talk on an Android. Oh, wait, this dates me, doesn't it? You might talk on an Android.
I have an Android. Doesn't date
right?
you, makes you
But you
awesome.
aren't one. You aren't one, okay? And humans are animals. We are, running on water and energy and sustenance. We have to take care of this. And I think that a beginner's mind is important. A learner's mindset.
I like that. I like that beginner. No, I like that word beginners, where you're like, you're new, you're trying to actively listen, and interesting. Okay.
There's hope in a beginner's mindset. Even if something is falling apart, even if you are in the midst of burnout and you are on the floor, literally or figuratively, and you can't even see the sky, maintaining a beginner's mindset gives us the hope we need to believe that we can embark on a new phase, we can try something new, we can feel differently. And if you are in the, excuse my language, shit tunnel, hope might be the only ray of light present. And for me, finding that hope again was coming back to my values, coming back to my priorities, and recognizing how far away I'd gotten from them when I had gotten to burnout. My personal values, and there are so many great values exercises out there, I think everybody should do them, but my personal values, my top 5: love, joy, integrity, courage, and family. And where I had gotten to in that point where I was in the midst of burnout, I was about to disrupt, irreparably harm, disconnect from everyone and everything I cared about.
It's huge.
Harming my love, harming my joy, harming my family values, not living in integrity.
Yeah.
That's how I got to burnout.
That's how you got there, of course, because you completely almost lost yourself. Valerie, how do you know where it's actual burnout versus if you've ever just been tired or pissed off or exhausted?
Great
and
question.
It's like people like to throw that word around like it's nothing. Like, oh man, I'm burned out. No, you're tired. You might even be a little depressed, but you're not burnt out. Burnt out is something different. How do you kind of make sure that you are, one, you're not underestimating this thing, but at the same time you're not overestimating it and throwing words out there and overdoing it?
Great question. And I would say 2 primary things. Number 1, remember the components of burnout, right? So all 3 are required for it to be medical burnout. So exhaustion and cynicism and inefficacy. Okay. So it could be that you are angry and exhausted,
Yeah.
right? If it's physical exhaustion or even emotional or mental exhaustion, but it's just that, then it's likely that a vacation, time away, sleep, good diet will help you feel better.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You will be able to replenish doing those things. But if it is true burnout, there is a different level of, I would say, rejuvenation that you have to achieve. It's not just replenishing your rest and your health, your diet, etc. There's also almost like a spiritual rejuvenation that has to
Yeah.
occur. You need to find your inspiration again to
Yep.
combat the cynicism. You have to remember your why or create a new one.
Sure.
And so I believe that if you don't have that level of rejuvenation, for instance, what are the things, Avetis, that you do where you lose time? You enjoy doing them so much. What are those things?
I mean, easy for me is family. Love, love, love being around my family. They energize me. I love being around what I call like my kind of my brotherly tribe. These are like friends that I know and I trust, and they're easy. These aren't stressful people. They're not trying to get something from me and vice versa. We're just there. And then I get energized by my team when we're working on something really cool and we're like buzzing. Where you really are like, we've got a startup incubating here, and there's times where like, damn it, we have to leave. And like, I can't wait to go home and see my wife and kids, but like, I'm like, man, we have so much to uncover here. And you literally physically have to leave. That tells you that you're excited about something. Like yesterday, I got, it was like 10:30 at night, and my wife's like, aren't you tired? I said, no, I'm energized. But it was a tiring day. I started the day at 6 a.m., went to the gym, went to the office. It was packed. And then I had to go to my CEO CEO think tank. And then 5 hours there, I had to do a presentation. And then they invited us to a after hour thing where we had to network and get the new guys in and welcome them. At the same time, we had to, I should have been exhausted. But I was energized. I was excited. Physically, maybe I was tired. I didn't feel it, but like I had that rhythm,
Exactly.
momentum. I felt great, because I am healthy, I am sleeping, I am exercising, I am spending time with the right people. So anyway,
That's important. And I would add two more things. I think that a great tool for anyone to use right now would be basically an audit of your time. So
okay,
I would encourage everyone on a periodic basis, but especially when you're not feeling so great, I would look at all of the time you spend in a given work week. And I would audit the types of tasks that you engage in across that week. And what ratio of those what percentage of those tasks are things that light you up and give you energy? And what percentage of those tasks drain you? And once you map that out, I would ask you to come up with, well, what's your golden ratio of happiness and success? There's going to be at least 20% of shit. Everywhere, anywhere, right? Okay, so assuming the 20%, what would be your golden ratio of success? Where, the larger percentage is stuff that you love to do that fills you up, that gives you energy.
sure,
Because that way you know where you want to be, right? If it's 80-20 or 75-25 or even 70-30. That's great. And if you, in your audit, realize, oh my word, I'm really at 50-50 right now, or I'm at 45 energizing tasks, math, 55% draining tasks, that is a flag. That is a true flag, because that will lead you to burnout. It means you have entered unsustainable territory. And then the last thing I would encourage folks to look at is brain chemistry.
okay,
So sometimes when we are, whether it's burnt out or physically tired, or you're like me and you're in perimenopause, your brain chemistry is changing. And so understand what you can do to increase the level, healthy things that you can do to increase the level of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. They are four different chemicals that you can increase in the brain four different ways. Oxytocin is called the love hormone. That you get from petting your pets, hugging your people. Okay? Endorphins, that's, when you win a race, right? When you've done a good workout and you feel really good.
Yeah.
Dopamine, if you love to create lists like I do, and then you cross off something and you feel really like juiced up, that's dopamine, right? And hey, shout out to all my list people. And then the last one is serotonin. So serotonin we hear about a lot. You could argue that that's almost like a happiness and calming, right? Brain
Like
chemical.
calm energy. Calm energy almost.
And
Yeah.
you can get that when you experience sunlight, right? Go outside, stand in the sun. What else can you do to increase serotonin? I mean, you can look things up, healthy ways again. And I think that when we figure out, okay, how can we improve our brain chemistry? How can we audit our time? We are investing in ourselves, and it'll yield benefits for everyone around us.
I agree, Valerie. What's one of the coolest things of being a leader or being in charge of all the challenges? There's one great thing we forget. We have the power to delegate, right? You got to delegate and you got to elevate. What is trash to you is somebody's gold, meaning the stuff that de-energizes me, like accounting, someone else loves, man, and that's their job, and that's how they feed their family, and that's what they're excited about, and they love optimization of accounting. And it's like, offload that, don't hoard it, and let that person own it and love it. So sometimes we forget that there's things that we are trash to us or trash to everybody. It's like, all right, who's willing to truck through this? But there are things that are like, your crap is my gold and vice versa, right? And so by realizing that and letting it go, you're creating opportunities for the world, for people and their families, and two, you are freeing of yourself of the stuff that drags you down.
100%.
I was at a yeah. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
I was at a Vistage event one time. I don't know if you know Vistage, just like at CEO.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that was doing an assessment, and he said, only 5% of people, leaders, are both visionaries and integrators. Integrator would be your president, your COO, your right-hand people, the operators, the ones that you need to run your business. And then the visionaries are the crazy people that, forget to show up to a meeting, have these brilliant ideas, chase shiny objects. And at the time, I prided myself, if that's a word, in being both. I was like, I'm that 5%. And kind of people looked at the room, they're like, no, I don't think you are, bro. I'm like, no, I'm one of those guys. And then I took the test. It was hilarious. The guy said, you're not an integrator, you're nuts. And I was like, what are you talking about? These are all the things I do. He goes, let me explain. This is you in what you think your role needs to be. So he says, you are correct, you might be doing it well. The problem is that you're using too many energy units. So there was a concept called energy units. So by forcing yourselves to be the system guy, to be this, but to be that, you are draining yourself. At the time I had a business partner, I said, the problem is we can't both, like, somebody has to be the integrator, the operator, somebody has to run this damn business, And he says, well, is he the visionary? I said, no. He says, I think you are. You just don't know it, but you need to find your number two. And unfortunately, it's not him. That's your partner. That's awesome. You guys are great, blah, 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 blah. It's nice. You have respect for each other. You care about each other. You guys trust each other. But you're not the 1-2 combo that's going to scale your business. I thought that was really interesting because I was trying to convince him and myself that, I can be this too. And you can. But how much energy units are you using? And he said, it's not sustainable. That's where the burnout potentially comes from, because you become something that you really aren't great at or don't want to do. One, you might not be great at it. Two, even if you are, you're draining yourself. But
100%. 100%. Yeah. And when you do that time audit, you'll see what are the things that are draining me. I love the energy units phrase, right? Sure. It's strength psychology.
Yeah.
You operate in your strength zone, you're going to do more and get there faster with higher quality than if you try and invest in things that, you're not built to do.
Sure. Let's talk about AI. Like it wouldn't be a
Wouldn't be
show without
2025 if we're talking about AI.
And it's the leadership, it's a tech leadership show, so we have to talk about it. Obviously, AI is transforming how we work. I mean, at that conference we were at, you saw how many times AI came up. Mm-hmm. How do we keep technology from replacing the human touch is the concept, right? A lot of us, I love AI. I'm building AI. I have startups building AI. I invest in AI. I talk about AI, but the human part, you can't replace. And I frankly think it's the only thing that will be left that AI will not replace. So how do we keep people in the forefront of our brain as we're building this AI that's going to eventually replace us, apparently?
I hope not. And I think the first answer is we're the ones building it. So we need to be intentional about placing humans at the center of it. Period. Yeah. Intentionality. That's my answer for almost everything. Second of all, I mean, think about the approach that they're taking at thinking machines versus, am I allowed to say other company names? Meta, sure. Right? Yeah, like thinking machines versus Google, for example. Different priorities, different approaches. I know the founder of an app called Happy. And the purpose is to help therapists streamline their practice by leveraging AI to do the stuff they don't want to do, right? The low fun, high time suck stuff, mm-hmm. and really help streamline and make their lives easier, because therapists are the one they're holding half the world together right now. So, yeah. And that's what I call placing humans at the center. It's good old CX. Right? Customer experience, good old UX, user experience.
Let's call it PX, people
experience. 100%. Oh, there are entire HR orgs called people experience.
Really? I was going to patent it. I was going to trademark it too late.
But human experience, maybe that's not yet trademarked. I think intentionality, number one. Number two, everything we build, even with intentionality that is designed to help humans, at some point will be used to harm humans.
Yes.
That is how humans work. So we need to remember that and build with that eventuality in mind as well.
Absolutely.
I don't think that we can erase that eventuality or that possibility. I think we can do our best to ensure that what we do build helps more than harms, both in outcomes and in, breadth of access. And I think that the smart companies that are building AI products, the companies that themselves are AI native, will have humanists on their boards, humanists in their executive suites, humanists who are operators, because it is the humanists who will help save humanity. And what AI will never replace, ever, 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 and now I'm getting excited, so my southern accent's about to come out. AI will never replace our energetic signature. Ooh. AI will never replace the energetic signature that we create in other people. Rooms, situations. You've been in a place, I'm sure, a room, any situation where you felt someone's energy, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Maybe you enter a room and you feel like, ooh, they were talking about something. I don't know what it was, but I can feel it, right? Mm-hmm. Or you enter a room and it just feels amazing because folks are celebrating. Maybe you have a conversation with someone and you feel some kind of way afterwards, or you hear a piece of music even, and it brings you to tears. We can do that for each other. And we can leverage it. We can be intentional about it. AI might be able to create an energetic signature in someone else because of what it makes someone feel, but it won't be able to feel the signature itself and therefore replicate it intentionally.
And I believe. Be authentically as well. It's just a machine, right?
It is just a machine with words and coding and intelligence, right? And we know that some intelligence is linear, some is not. And the speed of the machine intelligence is faster and greater than the current speed of human brains in most cases, right? But remember, you're talking to a Reiki master. So, I truly believe that one of the things unique about humans is the fact that we are energy. Everything's energy. Everything's energy. Take it down to an atomic level. Everything is energy. And we as sentient beings that are energetic can sense the energy, leverage it, use it.
Yeah.
And human connection, which is something I think people are chasing in using a lot of AI products right now, AI will never truly be able to replace. It may convince us that it can replace it, but it will not truly, authentically, to use your word, replace human connection, the human frequency. It will not. Absolutely. I believe.
No, I genuinely believe you are right. It sounds like you believe in what I believe, which is AI should be built to elevate people and not erase them, right? Mm-hmm. And if it erases their job, that's going to happen 100%. It's inevitable. But that's okay, because then they can go and do something better. Because if their job was that easily replaced by a machine, then most likely they should. The writing was on the wall, and they should go find something more that they're more passionate about, excited about. I mean, what we built internally at HireClout was, these people are great at this, but they're not great at this. Like, for example, my recruiters are not good at documentation. So I've seen leaders come and go that I laugh, because they're always frustrated that these salespeople and these recruiters are not great documenters. And I'm like, it's a losing battle. Don't go there. And guess what AI does now? We've built a system that takes all of their notes, documents it into CRM ATS automatically. Wow. I mean, they're so much happier. Nobody's like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to replace me? No, I'm trying to get your notes in the freaking system.
Totally.
But in return, you now have to go do what you're better at more, right? Mm-hmm. You have to now go and connect with humans at a higher level and deeper level, and not rush them, because you have the time. I've created a time for you. You're welcome. Go do more of the good stuff you're good at. So I feel like if we keep that in mind, AI is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
It's going to create a lot of noise.
And we also have to remember that every, 50 years or so, we shift in a direction that makes some ways we did things obsolete, and introduces new ways of doing things.
Absolutely.
Right? You brought up trash. My grandfather was actually a trash man. He was a sanitation worker who rode on the back of a trash truck and grabbed your trash.
Nice.
Nowadays, I see the trash truck going through my neighborhood, and it's a mechanized arm that comes out and picks it up, right? So no one's getting hurt.
Yeah.
It's faster. I'm sure once you buy the trucks, it's cheaper. Yep. But at the time, we needed humans. And it gave those humans, that approach gave those humans opportunities to build family, honor, pride, right? Add value. And so we have to look ahead and remember that you and I are talking right now through a computer using internet, that transmits the sound in real time. In 50 years, this might be obsolete. We need to build for the eventuality of obsolescence for certain things, but not the obsolescence of humans. Brilliant. Knock on wood.
Brilliant. No, you're absolutely right. We forget that piece, because you nailed it when you humanized it, made it about your grandfather, right? It's like, that allowed this man to be proud, because he woke up, added value to the community. He went to work. He had a purpose. And I think that's our biggest fear, without going too deep. It's like, the biggest fear for me is one day, if you know about the UAE model, I don't know if you've ever been to that side of the world, look, 80% of those folks don't work. They don't have to work. Oil money sustains them. My biggest fear is in 20, not even, I used to say 20 years, 5 years ago. And now I think in about 10 to 15 years, 80% of us may be unemployed. We're not going to be needed. And the AI and the robotics companies will have to pay such high taxes to sustain our ability to live and to work, to not have to work. And yeah, it sounds good. But are we going to find our purpose? Maybe it's purpose. It has nothing to do with work. And maybe we go and help the world and do all the things we couldn't because it didn't pay. Maybe we take jobs that we love. Like I used to be a coach for sports kids. It's the greatest job I've ever had. Maybe I'll go back and do that. But the point is, we have to be very careful to remove that purpose you just described. You know what I mean?
Extracting the purpose, or rather, finding the purpose
Yeah.
in what we do is a source of fuel in itself,
Yeah.
a renewable source of fuel.
Sure.
And again, because we are humans, not robots, we have to find ways to sustain ourselves, and fulfillment and purpose are a huge part of that.
Sure.
Whether you're looking at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or you're looking at positive psychology, or you're looking at James Clear, right? Atomic Habits, his method, starting in cue and ending in reward. Like, we all need something that is going to help sustain us as we continue to move forward and adult or grow or human as a verb, right?
I like it.
But I don't believe our greatest fear is that we won't find purpose.
You don't think so, huh?
I believe humans' greatest fear, I would say maybe the widest spread fear, is that we are not loved. And we seek and or experience love by proxy. Someone paying us attention is love. Someone giving us recognition is love. Someone buying our product is a form of love. Someone voting for me is a form of love. Someone hiring me is a form of love, right?
Wow.
I truly believe, because remember, we're energetic beings, but we're also humans that are animals, and there are certain core survival needs. One of them is to survive, to feel safe, to survive. And as we've evolved mentally and societally, if that's a word, I truly believe that in order to feel safe to survive, we need to feel like we belong. We're not going to English. We're not going to get kicked out of the tribe, right? Belonging is a form of love.
Sure. Wow.
If we feel loved, chances are we feel safe, we feel supported, we feel inspired, we feel energized, we feel like all things or many things are possible.
Huge. 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 We're going to go from this very, very deep human topic to a boring but very important topic, which would be the hidden cost of going public. You and I talked about this, and you've been kind of through several of these, but many see IPOs as the ultimate win. You know, for 18 years, I've been watching and frankly helping companies go IPO or get acquired. But what are the trade-offs that leaders often overlook? One, two, why do companies go public, then they go private? We had a whole conversation about that. It's a whole concept, right? Big private equity firms bring companies private. Why? Why do we work so hard to IPO and then come back?
I think the short answer is value creation. And so let me explain what I mean by that. The concept of an initial public offering, that's what IPO stands for, is the ability of a company to offer itself for sale to many people for lots of money, right?
Yes.
And as a securities lawyer, U.S. securities lawyer, IPOs historically have been a way to create value and wealth, right? And the corporation exists to return benefit and profit to its shareholders,
Sure.
right? So a lot of companies have wanted to go public because it's a great way to raise money, sustain themselves, grow, etc. I believe that some companies, when they go public, aren't aware of what it's like to be public. The scrutiny, the regimented timelines, the heightened accountability, the heightened reporting, the heightened regulation.
The lack of freedom.
Sure, right? If you don't have the freedom of time, if you don't feel like you have the freedom of experimentation because you are in a rigid box or system, that may be detrimental to your business model or how you lead, or both. And I think a lot of companies, just like a lot of parents have kids, but they don't know what it's like to have kids.
Yes.
They do it anyway. And sometimes it works out great.
Yep.
Ditto companies going public, right?
Yeah.
So they perceive the benefits, and we think we understand the challenges, but maybe haven't experienced how they affect us in our corporate ecosystem. And so I think that some companies, after they go public, realize what a shift they need to make internally. Sometimes before they go public, they'll realize it, but definitely after. And it can be challenging to maintain the level of rigidity, scrutiny, etc., accountability, and also innovate and thrive. Not impossible. Lots of companies do it, and lots of companies don't. And so, because going public, among other things, increases the amount of sunshine, everything you're doing is in public, everything you're doing is really regimented and set in stone almost. And if you want to try something new, or you've decided, you know what, we want to pivot this way, or this entire customer segment is not doing well right now, we're going to move in a different direction, that can be really hard to do. And so some public companies that really want to make pivots, strong pivots, try something new, operate differently, and don't feel like they have the flexibility to do that while public, they may go private. And often that occurs when another entity buys them and takes them private. Not always. There are other ways to go private. You can just simply delist from the exchange that you're being traded on.
Yes.
And privatize yourself. But often it happens through acquisition by a privately held company. And that is happening quite a bit right now in PE. It's happening quite a bit in tech. I would say especially mid-market.
Yes, that's where I see most of it. It's these like $1 to $10 billion companies, a few thousand employees. They went public. They were doing fine, but for some reason, this is where the interest seems to be coming from. Valerie, what advice do you have with a company that's a thriving company, right? Let's say they raised their Series D, they've got their $1 billion. They're, and now they're deciding, do we go IPO? I mean, at that point, they might have already decided. Do we go IPO? Do we sell to a private equity firm? Do we stay a privately held company and just do great things? Like, what are some things they should be thinking about?
Their investment thesis, right? Most companies have investors. If you're a public company, you're a shareholder, therefore you're an investor. But if you're privately held, you've got independent individual investors or institutional investors, VC, PE, all the above, right? So everyone who gave you money should have an investment thesis, right? What is it? How much flexibility is built into it? Because right now, we are in unprecedented times. I feel like we've been saying that for 3 years, but we are in unprecedented.
Saying that for 30 years.
Seriously, though, we are in unprecedented times. We haven't seen the future. And so I believe people need to build, whether it's flexibility or anti-fragility, whatever your approach, build it into your thesis and your operations, whether that affects your timeline or your value creation or your exit opportunities. Yeah. I've been in a situation where my company, one of my previous companies was about to go public. We filed our S1, right? We're letting the world know we're going to go public, and then COVID hit.
Ooh.
Right? We didn't go public right away. Things happen. And they still went public and did well, are doing well on the market. Doing well is also a subjective question when you ask it to every single person anywhere in that ecosystem, customer, investor, employee, etc. Right? So now I don't even remember your question. I got really excited.
You answered. I forgot my question, but it doesn't matter. I think the question was, what should they be considering when they go IPO or what route? You answered it. Sometimes, I hate to say this, but sometimes you don't have a choice because there's been so much expectation built with the VC firm, the private equity firm, your angels, your first checks. Hey man, you gotta go IPO. We gotta get our money back. You've raised $1.6 billion. We're not interested in you staying private. We gotta go. Let's go, right? What are you gonna do? You're gonna exit one way or the other. So that's really, really good.
And change management.
That's a completely different organization, isn't it, at that point?
It can be. You may have to change everything from how you compensate people to how you hire people to the rhythm of your business to the composition of your board and your executive team. It will impact everything. Not can, will. Your corporate structure and how you fund yourself, capitalize yourself, Impacts everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Valerie, you've worked at all three, but let's focus on two. What's the key energy or vibe of a PE firm, PE run organization and a VC run organization? What is the key things that is different? Is it the speed? Is it the pressure? Is it the, private equity firms are trying to flip in 2 to 5 years. VCs are trying to do, 10-year exit with a massive 100x return. Like, what is the energy inside? Being both an employee at that company and a leader, what's the key difference you've noticed?
You're talking to a diplomat, remember. Okay, so.
Don't be diplomatic.
You sound like people I used to work with. Right. Oh, that's just how I am. So, no, but let me answer it honestly. Time is a big component. Okay. And risk appetite is another big component. Okay. So in my experience, speaking as a lawyer, and we're known as like highly risk averse, yes. I see a greater appetite for risk in the VC community than the PE community.
That makes sense.
Now, these are not monolithic entities. You can have a PE firm that has a growth arm, right? That acts like a VC firm. Sure. You can have like your traditional, only focused on extracting value, buy, change, flip, sell.
Sure.
And yes, the holding period, again, part of the investment thesis is usually, call it, well, it used to be 2 to 4, now it's like 3 to 5 maybe years. Yep. But I've seen that change. Right? There are always exceptions to the rule. VC side, to your point, I think given the low rate of success in VC-backed, startups, I think it's like the single digits. So VCs understand there's a lot of risk, but potentially a lot of reward, and they may need to hold it for a lot longer. So you will see companies that are 13 years old, 15 years old that still have their original VC investors on the board.
Wow.
Right? And so time of holding, risk appetite, and in some instances, you could say PE firms are more accustomed to working with more mature businesses. And so they may have seen what in their analysis works and doesn't work more often than VC folks who are typically focused on, let me rephrase that, than some VC firms that might only focus on a certain stage of funding and therefore are accustomed to interacting with a certain maturity stage of operator. Does that make sense?
It makes great sense. Does the control factor affect it too? Meaning PE firms typically own 51 to 100%, right? Versus a VC might be 10% and they're more passive. Does that influence how the company runs?
I think whoever has the most money in it has a lot of power. Sometimes it's the founder.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting.
So it could be the founder and 2 VCs and a PE. Like that's where the money is. That's therefore that's where sort of the board control and the voting power is. It all depends.
Nice. Valerie, what's a book that's influenced how you lead?
Oh, so many. The No Asshole Rule by Bob Sutton.
Okay. Simple.
That's one.
Good book. Mm-hmm.
Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Okay.
The Mountain is You by Brianna Wiest.
That
right?
One I don't know.
Wiest. In other words, there's a saying I've heard, when one finger points out, you've got 4 fingers pointing back at you.
Yeah.
So know your role in all things, and sometimes you are the roadblock. You are just experiencing a roadblock.
Wow.
So that's been a powerful, powerful book. As I look at my bookshelf, there are so many. The 5 Languages of Workplace Appreciation.
Ooh, that one I haven't heard either.
Are you familiar with love languages as a concept?
Yes, of course.
So Gary Chapman, who co-wrote Love Languages, also co-wrote the book 5 Languages of Workplace Appreciation. So it's basically like HR approved workplace love languages. And recognition, you want to talk about a renewable resource?
Yeah.
In addition to purpose, feeling recognized for the value you're bringing
Yeah.
And let me take value outside of a capitalist context. I mean, feeling recognized for who you are and how you choose to help and show
Yeah.
up. So powerful.
Absolutely.
And I'm
Absolutely.
sure I could have more.
There's so many. Yeah. When you're reading a book a week or book a month, there's so
What about
many different
you?
great books. What was that?
What about your
Oh
books,
my
most
God, I
powerful
have
books?
so many. One of my favorites is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I read it probably 17 years ago, which is weird. I even remember it. But this whole concept of like, don't get too high on yourself. Like that next level you're not ready for. So how do you get ready for that? There's a really nice one, 10x is easier than 2x, which is really the concept. The more you read Benjamin Hardy's books, is like the concept is incremental changes while are seem great, and they're more optimization. They won't help you scale. So meaning if you're trying to double 2x yourself, you're just trying to do small optimizations, right? Hey, instead of waking up at 7, what if I woke up at 6:45 so that I can get to the gym a little bit earlier? Maybe I could do 10 minutes of cardio. Nice, all good, but that's not going to 10x your life or 10x your business. Another thing is, I'm going to, you completely change it. I'm going to sign up for a bodybuilding competition. What the hell are you talking about? It's like, yeah. I've never done it. I have no idea if I can do it, but I'm going to do it. Now I have to change everything. What I eat, what I sleep, how I sleep, where I work out, how do I hire a trainer or not? So that's the concept that I really like about it is you can't optimize your way to 10x, unfortunately. And many businesses were doing this, right? And we feel really good about it because like, oh my God, this thing is going to be brilliant, and it feels good. It's not going to 10x you. Sometimes it's like, when you have your money in a like an interest bearing account, it's like 4.2%. You're like, look at this. This is crazy. And what you don't realize is with inflation being at 3 to 7%, you're either barely growing or you're actually shrinking when you're doing small interest bearing optimizations. But anyway,
And that's a great example because you can see the optimizations and therefore you feel like it's working. Whereas the 10x approach, you got to have more faith.
yes. And you got to change the game. That's the thing. Like optimization fools you because it allows you to do a little bit of this, a little bit of this. So you're like tweaking. And look, sometimes when you're $1 billion business and you're killing it, maybe that's all you need. Maybe that's all you want. Sometimes in life, that's all you want, man. Like you don't need to 10x, but if you want those things, you got to change the game. What's your biggest aha moment, Valerie? Like what's in your career, in your life? Like what's the biggest aha moment?
Wow. I've had so many. You know what I'm going to say? The biggest aha moment it's not the biggest. One that's coming to mind now, and I'm an introvert, which means I'll give you a better answer like in 3 hours or 45 minutes. But the one that comes to me now, when I realized what a head up I had in life, what an amazing, strong start I had in life by having two parents who loved each other and loved me at the same time, and having a home where I felt safe and inspired to learn. I think that has been one of the greatest gifts and privileges I have had in my entire life, and I see how it set me up, how it benefited me over and over and over and over again.
Wow. What a blessing. That is, that was very powerful. It's basically maybe why you're such a happy, well-balanced person. I'm
I
surprised
try
you
to be.
balanced. Yeah, you definitely there. At least,
Don't ask my husband.
Yeah. I'm sure he has his own thoughts, right? Hey, but we're all humans. Doesn't mean we're not a mess. All right, last one. What would you put on a billboard for every leader to see?
Know your ripple.
Okay. Ooh, the ripple. I was going to ask you about the ripple.
Know your K-N-O-W. Your ripple. Know your ripple effect.
Okay.
Know the effect you're having on the people around you. Because you are having one. You can find out what it is through your own observation or even asking people if you're bold and courageous and humble enough.
Yeah.
Know the impact you're having on people and be intentional about seeking to have a positive impact. Even if just in one area. We can ripple everywhere. Choose one where you want to be intentional with your positive impact. Know the impact you're having.
And one thing I learned is if you can't have a positive ripple, and you're just in a state right now in your life that you're not going to be positive all the time, I think it's good to communicate that with the people that are closest to you.
100%.
You don't have to tell them everything, because a lot of us are private people, but you say, hey, I'm going through some stuff. So if you see me being a little not into it, or I don't care as much for whatever amount of time, it's not you, it's me. I'm dealing with some stuff. Give me, just understand that. Oh my God, I think that's huge, because everybody else is walking around on eggshells because the leader is pissed or frustrated or angry or sad. Is it me? Is it them? What's going on? What they don't know, they'll start imagining, right? They'll start creating their own, and the own is usually worse than the reality. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nature abhors a vacuum, so we usually fill it with shit.
Yeah.
Bad information. And that's you knowing your ripple.
Yeah. No. I've been through it, and at first I didn't communicate, and it had a negative ripple. Then I communicated enough where I felt like people were like, "Oh shit!" So it's not me. It's like, no, it's not you. It's me. I got to deal with this. So that's huge. That's really, really powerful. And another reverse ripple, Valerie, is once in a while when I see someone's energy's off, I'll ask them. Like yesterday, I was at an event. My really optimistic, cool, funny friend was very serious and kind of quiet. I was like, "You all right, man? Like, you seem different." He goes, "You noticed?" I said, "Yeah." "You almost seem like you're a little depressed. You all right?" He was like, "Man, I appreciate it. Let's grab lunch." "Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's something." I'm like, man, I wonder what impact it'll have on him, Hopefully he noticed that I noticed and I cared, and I genuinely did.
Good for you.
Valerie, you've been awesome. You reminded us all that leadership isn't about control. It's about awareness. And when leaders commit to optimizing themselves as much as their companies, they create ripples that transform teams. Speaking of ripples, culture and the future of work. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I've learned so much, and I've gotten so much out of your awesome energy. Appreciate you, and let's connect again.
Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Thank you for bringing your podcast to all of us so that we can benefit from your curiosity and your connections.
Yes.
This is just a great way to spread a ripple. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Valerie. Really appreciate you. Take care.
You too.
And that brings us to the end of another great episode of the Tech Leaders Playbook. I want to thank you for joining us, and hope you took away some valuable insights to apply in your professional journey. Don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you don't miss out on the next great conversation. I promise it'll be good. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also help others discover the podcast. Better leaders mean better working environments. Better working environments leads to happier people. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. I'm Avetis Antaplyan, and this has been the Tech Leaders Playbook. Keep leading, keep learning, keep giving, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, stay inspired, my friends.